and one that I might say has been very good for Sunnyvale. Tonight, Mike Cerrone is going to share a bit about Don's passion with serving at Livable Sunnyvale and serving in our community.
Thanks, Angela. So, as Angela said, for members of Livable Sunnyvale, Don is known as Mr. Agnes Veith, um, but um, for a lot of us, he's known in other arenas, and of course, Don was a great husband, father, and friend, as Agnes, Allison, and Rebecca can attest to. But in this forum, I want to acknowledge Don's activism because that's what we do around here. Uh, Don was a longtime board member of the Sunnyvale Democratic Club. For many years, he was the voice of the Dem Club, sending out his skillfully worded email blasts, Facebook posts, etc. When the Dem Club decided to focus on affordable housing and formed an affordable housing committee, Don and Sue Cerrone created a Housing 101 presentation that and delivered it to anyone who would listen, other Democratic clubs, community groups, faith groups, and so on. Now that Affordable Housing Committee later split off and became Livable Sunnyvale. Don was also very active in our fight against wage theft that has resulted in two important Sunnyvale ordinances to prevent wage theft in Sunnyvale. But his greatest impact was in another area. As Don used to describe it, he said he was laid off / retired in December of 2012, which was the same time as the horrible Sandy Hook Elementary School mass shooting, where 20 students and 6 staff members were murdered. Like all of us, Don was horrified, but he decided to do something about it. Soon after the shooting, Don and Nandini Balakrishna went to see then Mayor Tony Spitaleri and persuaded him to join Mayors Against Illegal Guns and get involved in taking some action in Sunnyvale. They could be very persuasive. Tony had not previously been a proponent of gun safety, but he was also very shocked by that massacre. So they put together a small group of activists to work on a gun safety ordinance for Sunnyvale. I was recruited because I could put up a website and a Facebook page, exotic skills in those days. Carol Weiss hosted most of the meetings. Sometimes we were at the Flower Cottage down the road here. We called ourselves Sunnyvale Citizens for Sensible Gun Measures. Kind of rolls off the tongue, but and those sites are still up. In the early part of 2013, we worked with the Law Center in San Francisco, which is now called the Gifford Law Center, to craft a carefully worded ballot measure to be put on the November 2013 ballot. We also gathered signatures on a petition. Now, for people who weren't involved back then, I want to point out that in 2013, almost no city would put a gun safety measure on the ballot because the NRA and similar organizations were very powerful and would sue any city that attempted such a thing, and they usually had more money than a typical city budget. Even the Sunnyvale Democratic politicians who were running then did not want this on the ballot. They thought they would pay a price for it. And nationwide, national politicians would never suggest restrictions on guns. It was considered, just, something you couldn't touch. Nevertheless, in the summer of 2013, this did get on the ballot, and this summer of 2013, the Sunnyvale City Council, well, right, in 2013, the Sunnyvale City Council voted to put it on the ballot. Now, don't tell anyone this, but as activists here, there were only a handful of us working on this, and we had no money. It did help that the mayor was in our group, and Sally Lieber, who you may know from Mountain View City Council and Assembly member and now on the Board of Equalization. She played a major role, and a few other people were involved, but we printed the flyers ourselves and hand delivered them by walking in Sunnyvale. Um, I remember Don, Sally Lieber, and others dressing up in black outfits and going out late at night to drop flyers in areas where it was not permitted, like some of the mobile home parks or something. Just allegedly they did this. I don't know. Maybe it's a rumor. It was probably fake news. But never in November of 2013, Measure C passed with over 66% of the votes, more than any of the candidates running. The city was, of course, sued, and over the next 2 years, Measure C was validated in district courts, superior courts, courts of appeals, and won every time. This demonstrated that a city or state could pass this type of law and win in the courts. Measure C was the model for the California State Proposition 63, which passed in 2016 with 63% of the vote. That was statewide, and for many laws across the country. Nowadays, Democratic or progressive candidates are vocal advocates for gun safety laws. Until recently, Don continued to be the coordinator for the Santa Clara County Brady campaign. And even, about a year ago, we were going to Sunnyvale City Council with other asking for more actions or more measures. But fortunately, we're in an environment where a lot of these things have been passed here in California and in Sunnyvale. So, as activists here at Livable Sunnyvale and other groups, we promote our values and we hope we're making life better for people, but sometimes it's hard to be sure, maybe long term or whatever. But clearly, what Don started and accomplished directly saved lives and continues to save lives every day. And I cannot think of a more powerful legacy for anyone. He will certainly be missed.
Thank you. This is a weird aside, but the day Don passed, and I haven't told you, Agnes, I was walking the neighborhood and I had my gun safety voter rights shirt on, and I got a text from Agnes's daughter, and I went, well, I can't tell you what I went or what I did, but shortly after I was like, you know what? He's smiling because I have this shirt on about gun rights, and this is what we do. We fight for what we believe, and I am honored to have known him. So thank you. Thank you. And I'm going to collect myself, and we will move on to the next part. Oh, Margaret would like to say something.
I think it would not be, we should petition the city council to put up a plaque or something, to think that from his idea, it became a national movement. It became a national movement. That's amazing.
Yes. Small things.
It's also pretty amazing at that time that the city knew they were going to be sued and they moved forward anyway to do that and proved it over and over and over again over the years. And that was so it was at his persuasion and the case that he made for that allowed that to happen. And I know some of that because guess what? I was on council as a Republican who also voted for that.
I think Gail online has her hand up. If you want to unmute yourself, Gail.
Yeah, I just want to say that Don, when he was secretary of the Democratic Club, He wrote the best minutes. Amazing. And he got them out like that night. It was absolutely amazing. He could have been at the Constitutional Convention in the 1790s. He was like brilliant at minutes, absolutely brilliant. If only I could do minutes like he did minutes. So thank you.
Thank you. So we will go to our meeting now. There are a couple announcements, let's see, from that we have. The Village Center Master Plan passed. The Tasman multi-use path also passed. I have a slide of all the letters that we wrote this year. Livable Sunnyvale was quite busy. And I will just put those up to show you. There were many letters we passed: Mary Avenue, undercrossing. We did several of those letters. The city of Sunnyvale will often contact us to say, could you help write a letter in support for this grant that we're applying for? So that's where a lot of those letters came from. There's actually 2 pages of letters. So, and then the last letter we wrote was a continuing support of the Lawrence Benton Temporary Housing Project, which has got home key funding. It is now renamed the Santa Clara Family Community. So we wrote a letter also saying that we continue our support for that, and that's going forward. Another grassroots project from a young group of workers, and that's going to be happening. There is a backpack drive at Sunnyvale Community Services on Friday, Saturday, and Monday, and they are looking for volunteers. And I will put that link in the chat if you're interested in volunteering. And Doug, our board member, had a announcement.
So you might remember in our May meeting, we talked about climate actions being taken by the city, and an important one is coming to council next week. So the city is going to be updating its energy aspects of its local building code, what is called our REACH code, to add 2 items that promote local electrification of existing residential buildings. So one of them is a requirement that if you are replacing an air conditioner or adding an air conditioner to a home, that instead of being a cooling only air conditioner, it should be a heat pump that can both heat and cool the home. And then the other item is called electrification readiness. So basically that if you're doing work that affects a gas appliance like a stove, that you have to pre-wire for future electric replacement of that. Both of these items, I'm maybe not getting kind of the total details right, but both of these items are part of the model REACH codes that our local community choice aggregator, Silicon Valley Clean Energy, recommends that cities take up. And it's important that Sunnyvale act now, because a state law just passed that is actually putting a moratorium on the kinds of these actions that cities can take for 6 years. And so city staff have been basically full speed ahead on getting these into place before that moratorium goes into effect on October 1st. So I plan to make a supportive comment to City Council, and hope that other folks who want to make sure that we're making progress on climate, and particularly emissions from buildings, which is our second largest source of greenhouse gases after transportation, that we keep that moving forward. So that's coming to council this Tuesday, the 12th.
I'm pretty sure staff is putting it in the climate action plan.
So that is part of the climate action plan, and it's good that they're moving forward, since they had been planning to actually do that in future years. But state law change made them have to move faster. And I understand Tara has another announcement.
Oh, thank you very much for reminding me that I do have an announcement here. We have been working diligently putting our 40th anniversary event for Leadership Sunnyvale together, and that will occur on the 28th of August from 4 to 7, and it will be held at the Community Center Ballroom. And so it is open to the public. We'll have a lot of our alumni there. We'll have a lot of our electeds there. We'll have a lot of honorees. And the people that we're honoring specifically is Larry Stone, of course, since he's retiring after all these years. And Michael Gallagher, our superintendent of the elementary schools, also retired. And he won't be there, I understand, but we'll still honor him anyway for the work he's done. And Pilar Lorenzana, whom many people don't know, but she is a very, very strong housing advocate, has been since she was on in Google, and I met her there. And she is also now the vice president of the community, Silicon Valley Community Foundation. Bleh. Okay, so I got it right. So anyway, we're honoring them, plus our alumni, and Margaret has been working faithfully on it, and we've all been, everybody on the board is going, oh my God, what else would we have to do? So we're having quite the time putting, we're not exactly event planners, but it's going together. It's going to be fun. Oh, we're asking for it's the 40th anniversary. We're asking for a donation of $40. Any amount that, and people are donating 100 and 200 and so forth, but any amount is write-offable. It's a tax deduction, at least so far.
Thank you. And I think Gail has her hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Doug, on what you were talking about on the reach codes, it's important to know that mobile homes, I think most mobile homes that are older than like mine cannot do a heat pump. So someone in the city or the commission needs to reach out to somebody that knows about mobile homes and exempt them from a lot of these things. I know they're exempt from the Bay Area air control on replacement of gas stoves and gas water heaters. So I would assume it's the same, but I would like the ordinance to exclude mobile homes where needed. Thanks.
Thank you. And so tonight for our first speaker, we have Jordan Carbajala. I know I did not pronounce your name correctly, so I hope you will correct me.
All good, all good.
And he is from California Yimbys, and he is going to talk. He was born in Peru, right?
Yep, that's true. Yep.
Went to school in Sonoma and lived in Sonoma, then graduated from UC Davis. And he is here to talk about some of the CEQA bills that are making their way and have made their way through the California legislature. So correct me on your name pronunciation and we will go there. Thank you.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much, Angela. Hey everybody, Jordan Carvajal, Government Affairs Manager here from Sacramento, California, and for California YIMBY. I'm subbing in for Maya. Maya is usually here, and I think she's out today, so I'll be subbing in. And if it's okay, can I share my screen? I have like a PowerPoint presentation. Let me see. Perfect. Okay.
Okay, now.
Yes. Okay, give me 1 second to make sure. Perfect. Can y'all see what I see?
Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, just really, again, thank you for the time and for the opportunity to be here, and really appreciate y'all allowing us to be in your guys' space and taking up some meeting time. So really appreciate it. I'm here to talk about what is AB 130 and why is it so important. Um, and this is one of the bills. This is, for context, this was a budget bill that got signed by the governor, and now it's effective into law right now. And leadership was involved with it. And I want to talk about the whole background of why it's important and how this is actually one of the most pro-housing, pro-environmental bills that got passed in the recent years. CEQA exemption, why? AB 130, one of the biggest elements of AB 130 is a clean CEQA exception for info housing in California. And some things that we've been seeing is that CEQA, while we know the intent of CEQA was created to be more of a natural balance, making sure our environment in California does not get affected by projects that can do more harm than good. We've seen that folks has been using CEQA as kind of to weaponize a tool to stop housing productions and kind of stop the development of homes. And I'll give you one example. Last year in UC Berkeley, there was a student homes project in the works, and there was an anonymous CEQA lawsuit to stop that student homes projects because of a noise complaint and how the noise of that new students' homes can impact the community in Berkeley. Immediately, the legislature reacted and created a law that says you cannot use CEQA in noise complaints specifically to stop housing projects or take it to court. However, people still find loopholes and find ways to kind of stop infill housing to move forward. And AB 130 was one of the ways to stop that and really unlock so many homes in California. The fast track housing package. In March of this year, Assembly Wicks, one of our champions in the housing space, along with her colleagues in Assembly, created a fast track housing package. This is really a package that consists of over 20 bills to really cut the red tape, start streamlining homes, especially what was happening in the fires in Los Angeles. There's a reaction from many members in the Assembly and the Senate to all come together with bipartisan support as well, to start passing a big housing package that will make it easier, faster, to build more homes. And one of the biggest bills that got introduced on that day on the fast track housing package was AB 609. So AB 609, as mentioned, is one of the is a CEQA exemption for info housing. On the left side of my screen, you see what the bill does. On the right side, it says, okay, you can get this CEQA exemption info housing, but it has to be less than 20 acres, not located on environmental sensitive or hazardous sites, and it has to consist with local zoning. So unless the city says, okay, we put this parcel right here, you're allowed to do info housing, you can get that CEQA exemption. So it didn't override and did not override any local ordinance, didn't override any of that issues. So make sure it's consistent with the city plans and making sure it's being built where it needs to be built. Which is why this bill, one of the CEQA exemption bills, actually local cities in rural counties were actually in support of this bill. And so we got the support. It became a bipartisan support. Right now, from my notes, I remember we had over 12 co-authors in support of this bill. A lot of Dems, and we even had the new Republican minority leader even being a co-author on this bill. So now, we have a clean CEQA extension for info housing. These are the checklists you got to do to build that. One thing that I would want to announce, and I'll get to this later, is that this bill, when it was first introduced, did not have some labor requirements, which means that there was no labor requirements behind these projects. If a developer or a small developer wants to build these projects, there's no labor attached to it. So I mentioned that because the labor negotiation comes a little later in the future. Oop, let me see. There we go. So as mentioned, this is one of the CEQA exemptions has been in the works specifically for California YIMBY over the last 8 years. Here's a picture of Senator Wicks testifying. 609 before it became 130 was actually really got a lot of bipartisan support. It passed through Assembly Natural Resources, passed through Assembly Housing Committee. It even passed the floor. And right there in the bottom half of my screen, you can see the vote count of members in 67 to 12. And that just signals that the legislature was ready to take a stance on CEQA, making sure more environmental friendly infill housing starts getting built in California, and cut the red tape and start building in California. So we're a success. That this bill was on its way to the Senate side, and we're ready to start testifying in committee and going to the other committees we're supposed to go to. And then we got a surprise from the governor. Um, I believe around May, usually every May, the governor does a budget May revise conference, press conference, where he announces what's going to be his priority, what he wants to put in the budget for the rest of the year. And on his May revise conference, he announced that he specifically wants to allocate some funding and see AB 609 be part of the package. Now, this usually doesn't have, before coming to California EMB, I spent a good amount of years working in the state legislature for assembly members. And historically, the governor never really truly shows his cards of what he wants to prioritize for the year, not till negotiations are going on. But this is the first. He made it clear. He put his foot down and says, we need to start building more. We need to stop allowing folks to use CEQA as a weapon to stop housing projects, and let's get more buildings up. And so with the help of the governor's announcement, we got some momentum, and AB 609 officially became AB 130. It became a budget trailer bill. So essentially, what a budget trailer bill is that the governor negotiates with his team, negotiates with the assembly and the Senate together, and that becomes the budget trailer bill for the year for California. Now, this is where a lot of negotiations, like here, we'll take this, we'll take that out, but AB 130 was officially part of it, which means that if AB 130 would have passed, which it did, it will become law automatically. And some key points of AB 130, what the leadership did is that they just copy and paste AB 609 and added it to AB 130. Same requirements, 20 acres, does not override any local ordinance, not any hazardous sites. We were kind of surprised, especially that this is one of the cleanest CEQA exception bills we've had recently, but it was in the making. And now, as I mentioned, AB 609 did not have any labor requirements, but AB 130 did. Now, with the CEQA, we know that when you get a CEQA exemptions with not a lot of requirements or labor requirements, you have to add some in, especially that this would be really high demand projects. And so a picture of here is our good friends, NorCal Carpenters, who are in support of AB 130, who really helped us out. And the final negotiation outcome was any projects over 85 feet has to have prevailing wage. Any projects under 85 feet has no labor requirements. And that was a final negotiation, final labor negotiation for this bill. I do want to say that it's not mentioned in my PowerPoints, but the governor did get a lot of pressure from the trades and labor on this bill because the first draft was not good enough for the labor folks. And eventually the governor came out an announcement and said to the legislature, I will not sign the budget unless AB 130 passes. And so he was willing to not sign a California budget, which, that sense the employees are state employees, our contracts. He was not willing to sign it unless AB 130 became part of the deal and became part of the project. And so they did. AB 130, after negotiations with the laborers, we find a middle ground, 85 feet or above, requires labor language. The governor Summary Wicks, who was the author of AB 609, along with everybody in this picture who helped us pass it, got signed into law. This is one of the biggest CEQA reforms in recent years. This is something that was mentioned that California EMB and other EMB folks has been working towards for the last 8 years, and we finally made it happen a few months ago. It became law as of July 1st of 2025, and now we're just trying to monitor any new projects of CEQA that are coming up. But this is the first, and this is the first time I've seen in my 6 years working in the state capitol and politics that I've seen the governor say, I will not sign a budget unless this happens. Um, and yeah, so we became a law. Some other bills that I also just want to just mention that's part of the fast track housing package, as I mentioned, that was part of the press conference, is SB 79, the transit oriented development bill would let you build more project near transit. AB 253, this bill just says for any projects 10 units or less, if the building department doesn't come out and provide you a building permit within 30 days or reviews your projects, you can go to a third party. And then AB 1308 says local governments has 10 business days to review and give you your and final inspections for construction. And that's my short presentation on AB 130. I will say, CEQA has, while we support CEQA and intention of it, we never really wanted to take what the core value of CEQA really was. We wanted to see if projects and housing projects are already penciled out. If we're seeing a lot of lawsuits on this, can we just exempt CEQA with these barriers and with these requirements? And I'm so happy that it was able to happen. Is 8 years in the making. I will say lastly that the Little Hoovers Commission was actually the one idea that we kind of heard it from. They released a report last year saying one of the biggest ways we can start building more info housing in California is exempting them from CEQA. And happy to answer any questions. I see a hand up. I just want to share also at California EMB, we also do something called the homework, which is if you want to get kind of what's happening in the Capitol, a Capitol update, legislative updates, what's the latest data on housing or any news report around housing. We also do that by week, 2 times a month we do that. So just want to also share the QR code for folks who are interested in that space. And yeah, I'll stop right there and answer any questions y'all may have, and I appreciate your time.
Gail, you want to ask your question?
I'm sorry, is that me you want? Gail?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I have one question. It's actually not on CEQA, it's on SB 9. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little about the LA County ignoring SB 9 and suspending, I guess they're essentially suspending it. And they don't want any multiple dwellings in to replace the fire destroyed residences in Pacific Palisades. Actually, it's all of LA County, so that's Pacific Palisades and probably a lot of Pasadena. And that SB 9, if you can explain what that is too, but it's essentially allowing duplexes. So if you guys could comment on that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's a great presentation, and thank you for all your work. I get this really cool YIMBY email that talks about housing all over the United States. And if you want to put a plug in for that, that'd be great too.
Thank you. Thank you. Great question, by the way. Yeah, SB 9, it's practically like split lot your property. We can put two small homes in your property. This passed back in 2021. We haven't seen a lot of development. I will, before I answer your question, Gail, I do want to say on SB 9, we haven't seen a lot of development on it because it's so restrictive to build. Even right now, you can't even build SB 9 projects in historic districts. And most of LA, most of Bay Area, almost close to all of San Diego. There's folks finding a way to historically designate areas to stop SB9. And so we haven't seen a lot of projects about it. And specifically what's happening in LA with the fires, that's unfortunately that happened is the mayor, I believe from leadership in LA, there's been an announcement to just block SB9 projects overall. Well, we don't understand how a tool in a toolbox that one is not being utilized a lot because law restriction, and two, there's no facts, statistics, data that says it has a negative impact in homes up in the mountains has been used is being stopped. We're trying to figure out where's the source coming from? Where are they hearing from the concerns of this? I do want to say that, I'm not, I'm not a homeowner, but if I do want to if I am, if I do become a homeowner in California, if I want to build an ADU, you should be able to build an ADU. If you want to build a back ADU for your parents, for your cousins, for your family, you should be allowed to do that. And if you want to split lot your property, we believe that you should be able to do that as well. And so for this executive order, or however they want to name it, coming in for LA, stopping SB9 projects, we're really concerned about that and trying to understand why is it that, and why specifically that project. On the political side of SB9, I will say some members took some tough votes in the Capitol. It wasn't really the most popular bill allowing you to split lot your property. But the boogeyman, they were saying never existed, never came out. It was all false. It was all fictional. So um, we're trying to understand what's going on. I will say, lastly, I believe also ADUs has been somewhat has been kind of be part of that conversation, well as banning. I will say ADUs is a most successful program in California. One of 4 new homes is the ADU in California. And how much generational wealth ADUs and SB9 can make for people who want to retire or other areas has been so successful that we've seen, we've heard, and we've talked to these small developers and these small, these homeowners as well. So it is frustrating. We're trying to understand what's going on, but we're aware of the situation and we're trying to see what other measures can we take to block that or help them out understand what really SB9, the benefits of it can bring to LA.
So one more follow-up. So are you doing anything with LA County to change what they're ruling? Or are you gonna sue them and take them to court? Or tell me about that.
Yeah, thankfully we don't sue. We are aware of, we have we have other YIMBY law groups, or Cal HDF, Housing Defense Fund. They actually sue cities, and they are, I believe they're thinking about doing a lawsuit to LA for that. So there
Yeah,
are folks.
What's so pathetic about this is none of the cities like Pasadena, like where the Eaton fire was, and Pacific Palisades, they were not meeting their RENA numbers. And this is a great opportunity to build, at least duplexes. We're not suggesting, multi-story stuff here. So, and I hope I'm not taking everyone's time on this, but the same thing could happen anywhere where there's a large fire and destroys urban areas. Thank you very much, Jordan.
No worries. No, thank you, and I really appreciate that question. And I did see there is a low income housing groups are actually going to start sue to allow the rezone of the fire area, so that it is in motion. I'm trying to find the link for whatever reason is archive link, so I don't want to share it to the chat. But when I do share, I'll make sure Maya sends it out and keep y'all updated on that.
So Jordan, could you just speak a little bit? We've had some preliminary conversations with California YIMBYs about SB 79. Could you just share more about why you think that could be maybe a game changer, or is it more of something we just got to keep getting bills across that make whatever makes it easier to build? If that, was that a question? I mean, but could you just say more about SB 79? My sense is that, we just have to keep passing stuff in hopes it slowly breaks down the status quo. That's kind of my feeling personally. I don't know if the board shares that or the members, but could you speak about it, please?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna give like a lot. My example of my godson, for example, he takes the train every day to go to school. He lives in Cotati, which is Sonoma County. He takes the Cotati to go to school back and forth. He told me he wants to live in the Bay Area. He wants to stay there. He wants to live near transit and start taking the train everywhere he goes. He doesn't want a car. And I told him, good luck. But well, SB 79, what I'm sharing this story is that SB 79 will allow to build more homes near transit areas. That includes train stations as well, specifically trains that, because of COVID, we've seen a low ridership coming in, which led to transit being underfunded, some even consider closing down, unless the leadership really comes in to keep and save and allocate some money to transit. We're going to see low ridership continue to go down and lose funding. And what SB 979 just says is that we will streamline housing projects with specific cap, as in like you cannot go over the limit what is designated for to build to be easier and streamlined near transit. Now there are specific tiers and requirements behind 79, so you're not going to see Skyline Miami near transit, but you are going to see more housing development because of the barriers uh, that's going to remove from building near transit. Now, I think that this bill is one of the interesting ones because it's bringing in a transportation community, bike-friendly community together with housing folks. And it's bringing all the folks who says, we see what cars, we see adding another freeway ain't gonna solve the traffic. We're seeing a decline in ridership. We've seen folks who are going hours and hours and driving hours and hours to go to work and back, stuck in traffic, not making the daycare, not making deadlines, not making to their kids' practices because of how much far they have to drive and not using transit because they can't live or afford to live near transit in cities. So 79 just simply says, let's make it easier to build nearby. Let's make sure there's guardrails around it so it applies with cities. And let's upzone those multifamily housing near transit. It really also allows for transit agencies to build more housing on their land that they already have. And so if you're riding around, like, let's say transit agencies, you just see just land not being used for parking at all and just there. This bill will unlock that land to build multifamily housing near it. So it brings all the communities together, transit, eco-friendly, environmental, pro-housing. It really make it easier to live in California, make it more affordable in other ways of transportation besides the vehicle.
Well, I think you sold me, but I've just been in two countries that mass transit was just beautiful and it worked and I loved it. And I try to be in Sunnyvale with mass transit and you're kind of like, well, I still have to walk several miles, but anyway, I'm for it, but we'll talk further. And we'll talk further with California YIMBY about working together on this. Any other questions in the room, or Mike does?
Hi, Jordan. A couple questions. One regarding the CEQA reform. Now, you use two terms, CEQA reform and CEQA exemption. CEQA is very complicated, as you're well aware, and it seems like most of what we're calling reform now is exempting CEQA from various situations, which, certainly most of the time is probably a good idea, but maybe not all the time. Are there any plans to get into, and I'm certainly not volunteering to do this, but to get into CEQA itself, which is very old now, and reforming it to where, it's something more relevant to today's world, and where you don't just keep looking for a place to lop it off, where and to prevent it from being misused. That's a big job, right, to kind of rewrite CEQA. But are there any longer term plans or any ongoing plans to look at that?
Yes. Another bill that I'm trying to find a summary for, thank you for your question, Mike, is AB 607. And so what AB 607 did just that. It reformed CEQA as a whole. It reformed as in was how will CEQA be used, how agencies view CEQA, and change the definition of CEQA, and also adding more exemptions to it then besides just housing as a whole. We didn't sponsor that bill. That bill eventually became AB 131 and became signed by the governor through the budget the same way AB 130. Let me find some data on that and then get back to you. But yes, overall, if we can broaden CEQA besides just housing, besides exemption, that would be something that we definitely want to see. And I believe AB 607 did that. So let me find some information on that and get back to you. Apologies, I don't have it in front of me.
Great, great. And SB 79, I think this was addressed somewhere I read it, but downtown Sunnyvale is right on the train station. Downtown Palo Alto, it's not unusual, right, for downtown to be right on a train station. And are there protections that prevent, you know, all the downtowns from being torn down and replaced with housing, with with no retail, no amenities or anything there?
That is correct. And I have to look into more about um the Pacific Transit you mentioned because there are certain qualifications that allow how far SB 79 can go into this as well. I also want to say that SB 79 will also at this moment will not stop any new projects that was already like if agencies, transit agencies had any new projects or new rails they were going to work on, this will not like override it, will not stop it overall, and make sure it's protected on that. And making sure like we a bill like this, we understand has to be sensitive to the community, has to adapt to the community, has to make sure it reflects what the community is already working on, and how can we add on to that? And that's what the middle balance we're trying to find with 79 on that. So yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And to AB 607, I mentioned uh, about it has some definition of CEQA. I added it to the chat. We have our page that talks about a quick summary what 607 did and how it refined CEQA overall as a whole.
Any other questions? So Jordan, thank you very much. And as I make this next plug, maybe you could help out if you're interested. So one of the things as people know, Livable Sunnyvale, we're kind of a nerdy group, and we're starting a book, or actually Chuck did not want to call it a book, like a journal or article club, a reading group. And if you have stuff, Jordan, that you would like to send our way, please send it this way. But Chuck is not here, but our first meeting for this group will be on Thursday, September 4th at 8:30. And as we said, the intent is more to get us reading some different articles and different views of what we can do as advocates to get different things passed and ultimately get more housing. So if you know of stuff, articles or books, let us know. So thank you very much, Jordan. I appreciate your time and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much, y'all. And I do have some articles I'm happy to share. I'll make sure to get the contact from Maya um, on the articles and back and forth. So lastly, I do just want to say we do have the homework. So if you want to stay updated what's going on in the Capitol any housing bills that you want to be aware of, um, or even some data or stats that just got released, please feel free to sign up to our homework. We publish twice a month. And yeah, so thank you so much, everybody. And
That homework link in the website, in the chat.
yeah, I just added the homework link.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you very much and have a good night. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, y'all. Have a good one.
So now we'll go to a slightly different topic. As we say at Livable Sunnyvale, housing is connected to everything. And probably several years ago, a mutual friend of mine, Donna Perez, says, you have to meet Alpina. And I'm like, another person to meet, another advocate, you know, how are we going to do this? And it wasn't till probably maybe 6 months ago that we actually, I think, in person connected, not just I'm sitting here and Alpina's making a presentation. At, probably you did it at Leadership Sunnyvale, the poverty simulation. I think we were on a panel together. But we've never, like, so we actually shared a meal. So we have been talking, and it's interesting how much we have in common. We both talked about, just as an aside, that we kind of left our home country. Of course, her home country is a lot further than where I grew up, but we change. And once you leave, you start doing things that your family goes, who are you? And I think that's what is so interesting about this group. It's because, as Donna told me years ago, they are the boots on the ground, with the exception of Sunnyvale Community Services. Helping Hands is the group on the ground that is working to help people that are unhoused or in situations that are just dire. Um, and so I'll just let her talk about her group. And the reason, one of the underlying reasons they're here is we have coalition partners at Livable Sunnyvale where we match up or link up with organizations that support our objectives here: housing, sustainability, transportation, and equity. Some of them with similar visions, some of them with exactly similar visions, but that's ultimately what we're doing tonight, is making them a coalition partner. But we want to hear more about them because they are vital to the Sunnyvale community.
Hi, my name is Alpana Agarwal. I'm the co-founder of Helping Hands Silicon Valley. Here, okay. My name is Alpana Agarwal. I am a co-founder for Helping Hands Silicon Valley. We have been doing this work for the last 5 years now. Himanshu, do you want to click to the next page? Yeah. You can share, right, Himanshu? Yeah, so let's try this again. My name is Alpana Agarwal. I'm the co-founder of Helping Hands Silicon Valley. We started about 5 years ago, very organically looking to help a group of unhoused people who put up tents on Wolf Road. It became a uproar in the community that we live in, and I just posted on Nextdoor asking for somebody to help me help those people feed them. And so a neighbor replied, Pratima, and her and I together started this organization. We started very simply with asking the community members for help with, tents, tarps, socks, clothing, and slowly the community formed, and it was amazing. I mean, it was heartwarming to see how everybody came together, despite the negative chatter. We started with zero money, partnered with another organization who provided us food, and we picked it up and gave it to those people. There were about 10 folks staying at that camp. Slowly, then fast forward, we met Rose, and I don't know if she remembers, but I met her and I said, oh, and there are unhoused people in Sunnyvale, where are they? And she just looked at me. She was like, I'm sure it's the look that we give now other people. But she took me around, and we formally started feeding. Um, at the time, we had about over 100 people. And at that time, our vision was that because people have a difficulty in traveling to food pantries or soup kitchens, so we physically went to all these. We had like about 10 stops, 10 camps we went to, delivering food and asking, how are you? What help do you need? And that's how we started. Today, our mission has become more to empower and uplift the most vulnerable in our community. And we do that by providing comprehensive support, resources, opportunities to help them grow and thrive. Financial independence is a big cornerstone. It comes from sometimes jobs, sometimes benefits that they are due. Uh, Either way, that's our main goal, to make them independent, because independence is what, gives people the will to live, will to thrive, is what we believe in. Um, so now we have a few board members here present, Niti and David. David is a board member, and Niti, and I have three of my very, very active volunteers here who are going to present too. So our basic philosophy is that we treat people with love and dignity and compassion. Even when we started, our instructions to the training to the volunteers was, you do not drop food and run. You stop, you talk. Sometimes somebody doesn't want to talk and they just say, okay, thanks. Or sometimes they can talk your ear off, in which case you stand there and listen to them, because sometimes that's all that is needed. That person needs that. And we do that till today. You can see us at the library every Saturday. Food service is over in about an hour, but some of us just hang around, talk to all our clients, hug them, whatever they need. So our philosophy continues to this day, and we believe in building relationships, because all the people who are down on, in this situation are very disenfranchised. They sometimes they have been let down by everybody so often that they sometimes come off feeling that they don't even deserve the help, or they're okay where they are. They can't get any help. They don't deserve it. And we have such folk, and in the 4 years, 5 years, slowly some people have come around and they're trying now. And that really is heartwarming to see. It takes a long time, but we are there. The other major thing is daily stressors, right? I mean, travel, food. I need a pair of socks. Oh God, I have to go to some place to get it. Um, so we try to help them with those things also. So we try our best to fulfill their small needs so they can focus and grow and go apply for housing, go, get housing ready or job ready, or get mental health help, or go take care of their health. Just go to the doctor or the dentist. Um, so that's what our philosophy is. And then this is some of the numbers. Um, we are not we have not tracked our numbers in the beginning so much, so they are a little low, but we have had about 230 weekends of uninterrupted meal service. Rain, shine, Christmas, Thanksgiving, we show up. Somebody shows up, food shows up, people are fed every Saturday. Initially, we did Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesdays, but COVID ended, people went back to their lives, and we couldn't sustain that. We have served over 11,000 meals, distributed 1,500 or more hygiene kits. In terms of clients, unique individuals, I have about 250 people whose names I have. I'm sure there are more that we have missed in the beginning year when we were not really taking down all the data. Um, Currently, 8 individuals are gainfully employed with our support. Um, More than 15 individuals are sheltered or housed with our support. And when I say with our support, we do not have housing or shelter to provide, but we are big advocates and we try to bridge the gap between where they are now and get them housing ready, or calling Here for You with them. Rose is an expert at that. I think she helped housed about 4 veterans last month. Yeah? Yeah, they are in the process. So um, we just do what needs to be done to help them move forward with their life. I think Neeti will take over and introduce some of our programs that we have right now.
Hello, everyone. I get nervous when I have a mic. I get very nervous when I have a mic in my hand, so please forgive me when I fumble. I've been with Alpna for a few years now, and I'm a Sunnyvale resident. We came here in 2000. We came here in 2000 and lived in Sunnyvale all throughout. I love Sunnyvale. I'm so happy to be part of this community and so lucky to live over here. The reason why I joined Alpna and Helping Hands is because she gives back to the community. And I firmly believe that everyone needs to give back to the community to have a good community. HHSV has service programs, as Alpna just mentioned. We provide meals, rain or sunshine. We are there. We are all volunteer-led. All our members are volunteers. They give their time and their effort. Nobody gets paid. Nobody's doing it for any altruistic reason at all. We have provided 1,500 hygiene kits, hundreds of tents, tarps, and sleeping bags, and maybe more. Maybe Rose could give you a better number about those. Um, and this is ongoing. Support comes from the community whenever we put out a request that we are lacking in something. Our volunteers have always stepped us and provided us whatever we need at that moment. We also provide rent payment to prevent eviction of our clients who are already housed. We want to prevent them going homeless or unhoused. We provide phones wherever necessary, either via donations from our members or if we can put them in touch with certain organizations that provide phones. We've helped with utility bills, with pet care, with vehicle repair, and unfortunately, even with funeral expenses. Um, the One of our very successful programs, successful in a not in a good way, successful because it's a necessity. We provide 2 to 7 days of motel stays for people who are facing medical emergencies or extreme weather conditions. When we had extremely bad rainfall about a year ago, we had a lot of people staying in the hotel. Alpna will be more able to tell you exactly the numbers, but we were able to provide them housing in those very, very sad times. And we also provide housing to people who are survivors of DV, domestic violence, families with very young children or single moms. We also work with David, helping us get bus passes for our unhoused friends so that they're able to get to the resources that they need to or the appointments that they need to. We get bus passes from the Sunnyvale community services and provide them to our clients free of charge. We have also provided cabs and cab fares for our clients who need to get to certain appointments, certain doctor visits, as and when necessary. I'll let Himanshu cover the next. Oh. These are case management, which is more prevalent with our clients who are trying to get back on their feet and need assistance in filling applications to attend help with ID and benefit, and also assistance with finding housing as and when they might get a voucher for housing or the situation has improved or they found a job. Getting housing is very, very difficult. And I think this is a uphill battle that Alpna and Rose and Pratima have been fighting. And I wish we could do something more standardized and more easy so that our community could be helped. Alpna and Pratima have helped a lot with job searches, and job searches is very difficult for the unhoused because even though they're willing to go to work, we don't find enough people who are willing to employ them. So that is another gate we wish we could open more frequently.
Hi, I'm Himanshu Sethi. We started volunteering just end of last year, October, Alka and I, my wife and I. And so I'll go into just a few programs that are in planning currently by HHSV. So all the upcoming slides highlight the program ideas that are currently in development based purely on community feedback and persistent service gaps that we've had. These include the Pivot project that I'll talk about, the Parents Co-op, and the Pop-Up Resource Hub. While each is still a work in progress, they represent our team's efforts to build solutions rooted in real need. We're actively seeking funding and collaboration for all 3 of these projects. One has received initial support, but all will require ongoing partnerships to become sustainable and community-driven programs. So let's go to the first one. This is called the Pivot Project. It has limited funding. The Pivot Project provides short-term motel stays for employed individuals and families in Santa Clara County, especially in Sunnyvale, who are experiencing homelessness or housing instability. So this program offers a safe, temporary place to stay while participants actively work towards securing permanent housing and greater financial stability. The program is currently being designed with a strong focus on equity and responsible use of public resources. So again, like I said, it is currently limited funding and is still being scoped out. The second one is the pop-up clinic. So Helping Hand Silicon Valley is exploring the launch of a weekly mobile clinic designed to bring essential services directly to unhoused individuals. These pop-up clinics would provide access to basic necessities, along with supportive services such as haircuts, mental health counseling, job readiness resources, and more. So this is going to be staffed by trained volunteers. The clinics would also offer assistance with paperwork and help individuals navigate available support systems. And by offering these mobile services, we aim to reach those who may face barriers, transportation, ensure that they have equitable access to care, and resources that support their long-term stability and reintegration. Finally, the third program is also very much a work in progress that we're seeking collaboration funding on. This Parents Co-op program helps working parents of school-age children avoid missing work by trading childcare responsibilities with one another. It also serves as a supportive community space where parents can rest, connect, and access help. In the long term, the co-op aims to offer a pathway into childcare careers by connecting interested parents with community college courses. I'll go into a little bit about impact here and hand it over to Alpna afterwards. So we want to talk about advocacy as well, and our advocacy work with the city of Sunnyvale has already led to tangible outcomes, including the creation of a homelessness services manager role and a safe parking program for people living in their vehicles. We've also helped initiate coordination between local nonprofits and public agencies to help improve service delivery. At the same time, we're working to shift public understanding by engaging in community events and city council meetings, as can be seen here, to highlight the root causes of homelessness and ensure that their voices are heard. I'm going to pass it over to Alpana.
Thank you, Himanshu and Neeti. So this photo here is, we received a grant from San Jose Mercury News in 2023. We were featured in their newspaper, in the Wish book. This person here is one of our oldest clients. We housed him for about a year. Actually, the motel called us and said, hey, I have this 92, he was 92 at that time, 92-year-old person who's almost blind and cannot hear, and he has run out of money. And we have paid, and actually it was very nice. The employees got together and paid for a couple nights for him. And can you help? And so we said, okay, we don't have the money to do this much, but let's see, let's try. And so we paid for his continue to stay in the motel room. And in the meantime, again, Rose here started a GoFundMe for him with the goal of, I think, raising $5,000 or $7,000. We raised $55,000. And we were able to use that money to keep him in the motel for a whole year, more than a year, and pay another person to go visit him every day for 2 hours to take care of him, clean his room, just be there and check up on him. We continued to check up on him too. Now he's in an extended long-term care facility. Rose and Pratima visited him on his birthday, 95th birthday. 95th birthday, yeah. He remembers us. He remembers our voices. He will touch and, yeah, he's still thinking and he still remembers us. He's the most thankful person I've ever met. The nurse gives him a sip of water and he blesses her. We say hello and he blesses us. It's just amazing. It's just amazing too. But anyway, yeah, so we actually got a lot of recognition or news. We got in the news and got some volunteers and got some more donations because of the Wish Book grant. So as you see here, they gave us a very generous grant. So almost just under 50% of our revenue last year was from them. Um, we get a few grants. We get an urgent grant from the county, from Otto Lee's office every year, which we use for our respite housing program. Um, about $15,000 we get, and then we spend our own money, extra money on that. Um, what other grants? We get a grant from Rotary. We got a grant 2 years ago, and we got another grant from the Rotary this year. So we are mainly community-based, mainly individual donations. Um, grants is a small part. We are looking to increase it as we get into more programming, more money-intensive programming. All the way we have kept our operational expenses 4%. Because we are all volunteer-based, we have no pays, we don't, and we are very frugal with our money, with what we do with the community. In a way, the community gives us, we are gatekeepers of the community money. And we keep that always foremost, that if somebody has given us money, it should be put to good use and not on other things. So some of our major expenses are respite housing. Motel is expensive, $100 a night at a minimum. Transportation, as we were talking about the transportation, it's like a challenge for people to go from one place to another. Going to San Jose to the county office and coming back takes an entire day. And so transportation is a major expense, and cars are towed away, registration, repairs. People live in their cars, and so they have to be in working condition. Sometimes we pay for repairs. There are people who travel. We have a client who travels back and forth between counties, and I mean, we have to pay for, because it's his home, we have to pay for those expenses to keep them housed, at least housed is like in quotes in their car. So the other expense is the rent, respite, the rental assistance to avoid evictions. We try our best. We partner with a lot of organizations. We send people to SCS, to other organizations for rent assistance. But sometimes they have already knocked on all doors and they come back to us and say, okay, this time now you have to help. So we help a little bit. We have to draw the line there because it's very expensive. We don't have resources to help rent eviction people who are being evicted. And then the other expenses are very small. So how you can help? Be a part of our group. Fieldwork, that's the main thing that we are looking for. We are looking for people to help with clients, to work one-on-one with clients. That it is a very, so if somebody asks me, okay, so what do we do? You talk to the client and ask them what do they need, and that's where we go from. So, but that work is needed. We need volunteers for that. We need volunteers for somebody to design. Mike was mentioning that it was it was a skill. It's still a skill. Design. We have a website, but design and maintain and upkeep of the website, we need somebody to do that. We need somebody for volunteer organization, grant research. That's a big thing that we need volunteers for. Fundraising, food, anything to do with food and essentials can help. Donate is, of course, an obvious way. Educate and advocate, awareness about homelessness within your network. Talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues. Advocacy, you all, I mean, this group, of course, does that. Be a part of the change. I think this group, I'm preaching to the choir here. But yeah, so these are the ways you can help. These are some of the ways to donate if you want to. Then some of the photos. these are things that some of our clients have said about us. There are many more. Um, if you notice, it's always believing in me or hand holding or really helping. The first blue one, the AM, she came here in a really bad situation from another state, and we supported her for a year and a half, helped her get a job. She was working, and then finally she was settled enough. She found a job back in her home state, and now she's there. Um, so, hmm? Yes, yes, yeah. So, thank you for all you do for me and my fur babies. Pet care. We have spent hundreds of dollars on her fur babies. They are her babies. They are her children, and I think she would fall apart if something happens to them. And yeah, and so that's the kind of help we do. We do quiet work. I mean, so you'll never see us inviting officials or, having a big giveaway sort of thing. Um, that's what I like to call quiet work, that we just quietly keep helping people without advertising it. I guess it's a plus and a minus. Uh, we don't come, so, we are not always splashed around on social media. Um, but we partnered with a lot of organizations. INUC is an organization that provides free eye exam and glasses. BikeX, Good Karma. So when our clients ask for a bike, we partner with these organizations and help them get bikes from there. This is fun moments. Yoga in the park, a volunteer and a client. That's Rose and another of our clients. And that's our Saturday, a photo from the Saturday meal. It's how they eat. They sit at the table and we just talk to them, and it's a fun atmosphere. It's fun. That's the way. Sorry? Yes. Yes. Even they, yeah. 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 So these are, oh, yeah. So it's a community. It becomes like a community event. They all share a meal. In fact, one of our clients used to bring his own spice bottles because our food is very bland, he says. And people were free to share it. It's like, oh, this is very bland today. Let's add some spice. And so, it's they have made friends amongst each other. We have made friends. People, if I'm sitting there, people feel free to come and give me a hug. It's and that's what I think is what we set out to do, form a community where everybody supports each other. Um, so, and the dog photo is he's my friend, Cooper. He's my friend. So, next slide. These are some of the donations: bike donation, jacket donation, food. And these are some of the community events that we have done. We were part of Sunnyvale Community Services homeless resource last year. We are always present at the Diwali festival in Sunnyvale Communities Center. So we are trying to spread the word. Some of the volunteers are this young. They help us put together snack bags, and it's a way to involve the youth to cultivate empathy. And they're very young. In fact, we have 2 youth groups who provide meals to us, and 3 youth groups. 2 of them have been doing it for the last 4 years. Every month, they provide a hot meal or a snack pack. We were recognized by Sunnyvale Chamber of Commerce this year as the nonprofit of the year. That was a surprise. Yeah, but I'm very thankful for the city to recognize us, the work that we do. And it's all because of the community, my volunteers, and also our clients. I mean, their resilience, their happiness, their just the spirit that they come with is really heartwarming to see. These some of very few of our partners. Sunnyvale Community Services is a big one. David hears from us all the time. Supervisor Otterly, we get a grant for almost 3 years. We have been getting for respite housing, ENAC, Rotary. Agape is a organized nonprofit like us in San Jose. We sometimes mutually help each other. If I have a client who's living in San Jose, and it's like I get a call that, oh my goodness, I'm in trouble and I can't go drive 20 miles. So I call him and he arranges for his volunteers to help. BikeX and the United Effort org have been our mentors since day one. Um, Whenever we have a question or something, we call them and they'll say, okay, you can do this. And we also mutually refer clients to each other. So that's mostly all. Any questions or comments? Yeah.
Thank you. I have a couple questions. Just for context, I know we've talked about it. How much is a bus pass?
So we get it for $25 each, and per month.
Per month.
Yeah, a month pass is $25 each. When we started, it escalated to we were buying about 35, 40 bus passes a month, and then we cut down. It's like we can't sustain it. So now we are asking and checking everybody and trying to triage more as to why they need it. So now we are down to 20 to 22 bus passes a month, which we buy at $25 each, and then
Okay.
give it free to our clients because they truly have no money. And yeah.
So the
You're on.
$25 cost is already a subsidized cost.
Yeah.
So if a client were to want to purchase it at market, it would be around $100 for a monthly pass. And the monthly pass that Helping Hands is able to extend to the clients covers the rapid buses, which are an additional charge if you were on a regular basis, regular buses, and also the light rail. And then we also have a partnership with Caltrain, which is also extended to Helping Hand clients. So a client can access the entire Caltrain corridor free of charge for an entire year. And again, that's to connect them to the resources across not just Santa Clara County, but as Alpana mentioned, some of our clients are also traveling across counties to work and access additional resources.
Wow, beautiful. So I also help with St. Vincent de Paul, which is a sort of similar organization. And what I'm noticing, and tell me if you're noticing this, is we're getting busier. And I'm starting to wonder if it's because your organization and St. Vincent de Paul, we are not connected to any national database, really. So I'm starting to wonder are people getting scared so they're coming to our groups more, or am I just dreaming? Or
Could be part of it. Could be, yes.
I guess the bigger question is, David, are your calls going up or down? Because
Yeah, so SCS, like a lot of other nonprofits, operates on a fiscal year, so from July to June. So I know just in doing this for so many years that closer to the end of the year, our resources or our pots of money to support with emergency financial assistance for any emergency, we have to spend down. Therefore, we're not able to assist as many clients towards the end of the fiscal year because of the lack of resources. Therefore, those clients then migrate to other nonprofits
makes sense.
that are not operating on that fiscal year or may have more pots of resources or flush with cash, I would say, at that moment in time. So we talk a lot, but May, June, July is usually when we are actually reaching out to Helping Hands and saying, hey, can you top us off? Because we can help, but we can only help with X, but the need is higher. So that's kind of that's the collaboration between our agencies, is we're mutually case managing and supporting clients when our resources are not as
Gotcha,
Yeah.
because that makes better sense, and that helps too, because I'm like, wow, it's really getting busier these days. But, okay,
The holidays, St. Vincent steps up for us because we shut down during the holidays, and you all then become the SCS for the community, and then we reimburse you sometimes when we come back. But that's that partnership there.
yeah. So, just my last question, unless somebody else has one, is, so, at Livable Sunnyvale, we try to have a call to action, and you guys had a beautiful slide. You were very organized. Thank you very much. About things to do, but when you go on Saturdays, what time, how long, and
Okay.
do people, if we were to come, are we would just observe, or what what happens on a Saturday
So
specifically?
yeah, okay. So Saturdays we meet at 11:30 a.m. At in front of the Sunnyvale Public Library, the big tree. Um, most by 11:30, 11:45, most of our clients, and these days it's a smaller group, they collect around. Food arrives, we serve food. There's a coordinator always on site who's responsible for serving the food. The food is all packaged in individual containers, so it's not family style. Everybody gets a box. So we started in COVID, so that's what we have, and it's easy to do. Yeah, safer. So that's what happens. And in the meantime, usually Rose, Pratima, and myself, we are there and we talk to everybody. And say what's going on. We remember, oh, you applied for this job, what happened? Or you were supposed to go to the doctor, what happened? And try to follow up on things that are going on. Word of mouth now, people come and sometimes they'll come and say, okay, I need help. And then we start talking to them, okay, let's start from zero. Do you have an ID? And go down the list. And so if somebody would like to come and see how we work, see if that appeals to you. You are free to talk to our clients, our volunteers, whoever is there. In terms of helping, uh, you will have to come a few times to build relationships and people to get to know you, because they are really jaded people. They do not share anything, sometimes not even their last name, and sometimes they give a fake name. Which comes out 10 times, 10 months later. It's like, oh, that's not my real name. When they start applying for IDs, like, wait, I've been calling you Kevin for these so long, and well, that's not my real name. Yeah, but everybody is welcome to come. Feel free to stop by 11:30 Sunnyvale Public Library every Saturday, and we are there. We have a special meal for Thanksgiving and Christmas days. On those days specifically, we send out a big ask for, because we try to give them steak and potatoes or some really out there meal. And so we ask for donations. And so, yeah, you can come and see how we work. Yeah, we would love to have you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or online? No? Well, Mike has one.
Uh, So you've mentioned Sunnyvale Community Services, of course. Can you, talk a little bit about how you interact or complement or whatever some of the other organizations like, well, We Hope is paid by the city, and there's Downtown Streets, I guess, and maybe some other groups, how you, complement them, or it's very interesting how in St. Vincent de Paul, how depending on the cycle in the year, how that's shared. I wasn't aware of that, but could you talk a little bit about some of the other groups that are active? And
Yeah. So we do work with We Hope. Um, we almost have the same clients, almost 80-90% of our clients, we share clients. So the way I see we work is we are bridging. The We Hope has access to more resources, has access to housing, has access to shelters. So we are bridging that gap between their case management and the client. We advocate for them because for a big organization like We Hope, that client is just one client in a sea of I don't know how many. For us, we take that person and we we say, okay, what do you need? What is going on? Who's your case manager? And they'll come back to us and say, well, I spoke to them and it is just a misunderstanding. Something was said, something was understood, something else was done, something was not done. So we try to understand and try to advocate for them. Again, the word advocate. We do that with We Hope. We do that with Downtown Streets team. We try to build relationships, personal relationships with the people working for We Hope and Downtown Streets team and other organizations. I don't know who else works around in Sunnyvale though. Um,
Yeah, I will add, I think it's working, sorry. Um, the continuum of care is wide. Organizations like We Hope, Bill Wilson, Home First, Life Moves, which are the big homeless services providers in the county, they operate under coordinated entry. So they have specific guidelines, policies, and assessments that inform them which of the 10,000 unhoused people in their communities they can work with next. So every unhoused person in Santa Clara County is to connect to this coordinated entry system. It's assessed. It receives a vulnerability score. That score then informs that organization what type of intervention they can provide and when they can provide that intervention. So because resources are limited, that score is very high. A client has to be unhoused for many years and be experiencing a multitude of challenges for them to be considered eligible for these services. So I think what Helping Hands does is they identify and work and support those who are not yet up next in that list of who's going to receive the next available limited shelter bed, motel, or affordable housing unit that will be built 10 years from now. So they care, Helping Hands, we care for those while they're in limbo, waiting to be called for now we have a shelter bed available for you, a motel stay, and things like that. So they are working with another part of the unhoused in that continuum.
Actually, to add to that, lately county created what 10 rooms, 20 people in North County because the North County shelter became a family shelter. So due to our advocacy and we pushed a lot, and the county has now created 20 people, 10 rooms on a shared basis. And so the contract is managed by We Hope. We have nothing to do with the contract, but that is one of the ways that how we worked with the county here to push for creation of some sort of a housing situation or alleviation of housing situation as people work through their needs and work through their getting their housing readiness.
Those beds are, are you saying those are at Hamlin?
No, that's not. So the Hamlin shelter became a family shelter.
Right.
And so we advocated and pushed, and now the county has 10 rooms on double occupancy basis
I see.
for the North
For
County.
individuals?
For individuals.
Uh-huh.
And most of them are from Sunnyvale. The hotel is in Milpitas, unfortunately, um, but it's managed by We Hope. So again, we are working with We Hope.
Right, okay.
Like the challenge of like limited resources that the Hamlin or North County shelter historically has been for unhoused individuals. And then the last shift when Operation switched to Bill Wilson from Home First, Bill Wilson is a shelter operator, but for families with children. So the population of interest, though, that could be served through that shelter changed to families with children that then left no shelter resources for unhoused individuals with no children. So that's where Helping Hands' advocacy. Don't forget about the people that were displaced through the shift, although we understand that families with children also need shelter and all these amazing resources as much as possible. But there are these other individuals who now have no shelter opportunities or resource in North Santa Clara County, which is the way this temporary motel voucher program was created to hopefully remedy some of that further displacement.
Yeah,
Also, we also get calls from the family shelter on Hamlin Court. Their case managers call us for help with expenses that apparently they don't have a budget for. Small things like shoes. I'm starting a new job, I need a pair of scrubs. So we work with them, we help the clients there too, so.
Yeah, we noticed the Benton facility is still shown as also family. So we've been wondering, where do the individuals go? So I think when it was originally proposed, the idea was that Sunnyvale was individuals, so that they were going to be family. But now
Yeah.
that changed. So
Yeah, I mean, library, yeah, people, the single individuals were around the library. They're still at the library,
right,
a
right.
lot of them. Yeah, yeah, most of our clients were living around the library. At one point, about 35, 35 people were living between the cars and tents. Um, Now, mostly it's just the car dwellers who are at the library. Others have been forced to move.
Yeah.
You know, this history of these homeless. There used to be the old armory. Remember the armory? And then they moved to another. They built a shelter. Then they moved to build a real shelter. I think the other one was on Innovate. No, not Innovation Way. Anyway, why can't they build another shelter for single people, like, which is what that one on Hamlin Court was, and then became a family shelter a few years ago. And it doesn't sound to me, our church tries to contribute over there. It doesn't feel like it's very well organized. They keep changing the rules. And so one day they might want blankets, but then no, don't bring blankets, that kind of stuff. But why can't the county build another building? I mean, it's not like it's fancy.
I think space, the
There's-
expensive location, like expensive land is the problem. 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, Ottilie and I, we kind of drove around looking at places, and every place we pointed is like, oh, there is actually a small piece of land that belongs to, I might be totally wrong, but city of San Francisco for some reason, near the shelter. But every piece of land belongs to somebody or the other, and or the neighbors would be up in arms. Like the Benton facility, it had the only way it got approved is because it became a family shelter. County land, yeah, yeah, yeah. The county owns the Hamlin shelter land, but the land expense is the biggest problem in our area, and
Well, they just managed to build a big building for Foothill College, like, out in that same area. I mean, if it was up to us. I've been feeding people since the 80s downtown. When you could smoke inside there was an armory across from the county and we would go in there and feed people, and you could smoke. I think you could smoke inside, or maybe you had to go outside. You may have had to go outside. But if you went outside, you had to go through a different door because they didn't want you to go outside and come in through the front door again.
So I think we have actually tried to. So when I started volunteering, we've gone ahead and actually asked a lot of the unhoused as to what specifically they're interested in, kind of, how should we solve this, right? What makes the most sense? So we had proposed a few ideas, which is where the advocacy is involved directly with the city in terms of understanding what kinds of things can we do, sanction encampments and other kinds of ideas, say parking, other kinds of ideas. So now I think we had put that plan together. Again, we keep hearing the fact that, the city doesn't have any land, right? There are lots of industrial sites that we know about, that we know of, even from COVID, that are completely empty, that have nobody renting anything for years, right? So I think we've tried to kind of also work with the city to kind of figure that out as an option. But again, the question is always, well, who's going to man the sanctioned encampment? How is it going to be run? We don't really want to do this, right? This is one of those things where the city has basically said, we're going to try to farm this out to other people instead of us taking on the responsibility of doing something about it ourselves. So I think we're working directly with some of the council members to see what we can do to kind of make it our problem, right? So, but that's all I have to say.
So can I ask you a question about Sunnyvale and Mountain View? Do you think that Mountain View is more receptive to actually getting into the nitty-gritty, helping people out rather than farming it out? As opposed to Sunnyvale?
It would seem so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, with the Move Mountain View and the local organizations that are there, they are empowering their local organizations to help. And I mean, not to say City of Sunnyvale does not, but we could do more.
The mini homes that they have, sorry, they've gone ahead and actually done something about it in terms of constructing homes and doing something about it, right? The city of Sunnyvale, San Jose even has done something about it, right? So,
Sunnyvale's talked about those mini homes for years.
and safe parking as well, correct?
Yeah, safe parking's been quite prevalent in Mountain View for a long time. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that, but again, what you hear is we're looking for land. And
Right.
then we're looking for people to support it.
So we have gone ahead and actually talked to the city, and we have gone through and figured out exactly what kind of land does the city have? What can we directly do, right? Because we've asked the city, said, well, go look for it. Go look for the land. I'm like, well, you guys know what land you have, right? Why are you asking us to look for it? But we've gone ahead and done that, and we said, okay, here are some sites that we can actually create safe parking sites for, right? So yeah, I think safe parking is becoming an option that the city is more amenable to. But yeah, it's still a ways off.
Yes, we've been talking about safe parking for what, 5 years now? At least, we've been advocating for that with the city.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the fact that homelessness and is one of the priorities for the city, it is a priority for the city. It is still one of the 4 priorities. They had 6 priorities beginning of the year. They now have 4 priorities, and one of those is the unhoused. They spent $1 million per year. That's the budget that they've gotten. And to me, that is not considered a priority if it's just $1 million. I'm sorry, but to me, you're not really treating it as such, even if you're naming it as such. Yeah.
It's not a big enough carve out in the budget.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Exactly. So that's another thing that we're also been talking to Richard Mellinger and other couple other folks as well about this, to kind of understand what can be done to kind of increase that budget for the unhoused, because that is where huge push is needed. More needs to be done to kind of help get them the services that they need. And I think we want to work with your team as well to help understand, what types of service gaps exist, right? So we have this pop-up clinic as well that we're thinking about that I talked about earlier, to also address some of these gaps that, we can't create housing, so we have to figure out a way to kind of just bring the services to them, right? Again, these are just patches. So, yeah.
Good.
Exactly.
Thank you again. I think it's time to vote. Paulina? So there's a few online, and I move that we make Helping Hands a coalition partner. Agnes seconds. All in favor? Yeah. So Paulina's keeping track. I think Hamachu is a voter now. Yep. Is there any opposed? Any discussion or anything? No? Okay, well, I think we have our work cut out for us, unfortunately. Um, Thank you very much for the in-depth presentation and for all your work. It's definitely humbling to hear. Thank you. At this point, we are just going to mention what we're doing next month. Our next meeting will be on September 3rd. All the schools go back before Labor Day, so we decided to keep our general meeting on September 3rd, which is Wednesday. And we're going to actually be talking to Mountain View. So according to Sunnyvale's 2023 through 31 housing element, rents in Sunnyvale are higher than rents in both countywide and in the region. So we've invited Mountain View's Vice Mayor, Emily Ramos, to share details of Mountain View's Community Stabilization and Fair Rent Act, which provides rent stabilization and just cause eviction protections for certain rentals in Mountain View. Vice Mayor Ramos' presentation will provide us with a perspective of how our neighbor has been addressing rent increases. And on August 7th, the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors will be voting to put a measure on the November 2026 ballot to increase countywide sales tax by 5/8 of a cent. This increase is anticipated to raise approximately $330 million to compensate for the deficit in the county, which we face as a result of the passage of the bill. Can't say what Agnes wrote. No, the bill. Anyway, if this measure is placed on the ballot, Livable Sunnyvale will be inviting a speaker to share details of this measure, and we will ask our eligible voting members to cast their vote in support or not support of this measure. And then on another note, our socials have been fun. We're looking to the end of the month for another social. It's the last Wednesday of the month. And it's so fun to just chat. So all are invited. We do it at, what, 6 o'clock, Angus? Yeah, 6:30, 6? I can't remember, but you'll see it on the email. And we haven't decided on our next place yet. We're usually somewhere in downtown Sunnyvale. Agnes, I know. So we're trying to figure out, do we do it on I think it's like August 28th in downtown Sunnyvale with the concert, or do we kind of move off that beating path so we can actually talk in here? No, it's the 27th then. It's a Wednesday night. Your thing is on Thursday night. Yes, I know we're not the same. And Agnes has her hand up. Oh, Julia has her hand up. Julia. Nope, she does not have her hand up. So we voted. Oh, I think we're going back to Fibbers, but we're going to double check that. Because if there's a concert, it could be really, really crowded. But and loud. So it might be just dancing on the tables. I don't know. Anyway, any other announcements or anything? I think we are good. So welcome to our coalition partner. Thank you. And our meeting has ended. Thank you.